and I'm going to start bringing people in. How's that sound?
Great.
Here comes Trudy and Sherry and Lisa and Tony and Era and Joan. Here come the people. Oh, look at Trudy's fabulous. She's got the best image. Hi, Trudy. So good to see you. Oh, Shingo.
I can't hear.
Oh, you can't hear?
I can hear you just fine, just on my end.
Okay, I think maybe it's just Trudy can't hear.
Now I can hear.
Oh, yay. Good. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
It's so good to see you. Maybe I could ask everyone to, in the chat, to introduce yourself, just to say hi, and the global learning course you're teaching, and if you're not in Miami, let us know where you are, because you could be anywhere now. You're in the whole world. So nice to see everybody. I get a little bit verklempt at these things because I wish we could be in the same room.
I'll go. I'm Joan. I'm in dietetics and nutrition. I run.
Oh yeah, you don't even have to do it out loud, but we could put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can introduce ourselves in the chat.
Get that? I did it last time.
We don't have to go all the way around and do it all.
I thought we were all the same group, trying to get a hangover.
We got some new folks with us for this chat. I mean, for this hangout. Yeah, come on. Oh, here comes Michael. Ruby. And Claudia. Oh, it's gonna start getting too big for one screen.
Mm-hmm.
Good to see you, Shango. And you too, Irma. Snugly packed away in Miami with your animal. Yes, exactly, Jeanette. Hey, Sherry. Sherry Andre and Sherry Beeson. You two are right next to each other right now for me.
Hello.
All right. And Tracy, oh my gosh, and Nicolo, oh my goodness, this is so fun. Hi, Tracy. Hey, Nicolo. Oh, people that we haven't seen in a long time. Tassos, cool. Hey, Tassos. He's in Santorini again.
That's right. Hello, how are you doing?
It's good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too. Hope everybody's doing well.
We're here, which is good. Which is good. Someone said to me today in Peru, oh, Gene's coming, that I asked how he was doing. He says, we're alive with plenty of learning outcomes.
Good, good.
I'm quoting you with that. Alive with plenty of learning outcomes. There was also this article that I saw recently. It was about, they were opening up a new theme park in Japan. And they have a sign on the roller coaster that said, because of COVID and the way it can be spread, please scream inside your heart. I was like, oh, that's about what it feels like every time I wake up in the morning.
I know, I was about to say that. I saw that too, and all I could think is, yeah, I do a lot of internal screaming. That's not necessarily a good thing.
It was such a poetic way of putting things. Oh my goodness. Well, so glad to see everybody here. We'll probably have some other folks joining us as we go along, and you can feel free if you need to leave if you need or want to leave your video off, that's fine. Because we understand we're all doing a million things. We are recording because there are always a few people at the last minute who write to me and say, oh, I can't make it for whatever reason. So we're going to record. I hope that's okay with everyone. And we'll share the recording with you afterward, along with the chat. We're asking everyone to introduce yourselves in the chat. Let folks know maybe what global learning course you're teaching or which one you are developing. And as we go along today, we'll also ask you to write other things in the chat because we have some new ideas for, I have some new ideas for future Hangouts and want to get your thoughts about those. But also you're going to be sharing a lot of resources with each other. So we'll make sure that we get those out to everyone. So just in case you don't have enough time to write it down, we'll say the chat is saved and we'll get that to you. Before I turn it over to our guest show and tell presenter, Carla, we want to ask you if you have your phone handy, to get the most out of today's session and Carla's show and tell, it would be great to really quick download an app called Nearpod. And I'll put it in the chat. I sent an email to everyone, but just in case you didn't get the email, there's an app, totally free, very low bandwidth, very low memory, really quick to download it. If you would download Nearpod now, then you'll be able to participate in the show and tell and really get a feeling for what students would experience if you decide to use this particular tool. And Carla is really experienced with it. She knows people who teach their entire online class with Nearpod because it is so engaging. So do that if you can. If you have any issues, you can write them in the chat and we'll see if we can help to solve them.
Was it from the email yesterday that you sent?
I think it was yesterday. There was a reminder yesterday.
Yeah. Is it in that one? Okay.
Yeah, but if you just go into your app store or if you have Google Play and you click Nearpod, Nearpod.
Yeah, it was in your email yesterday, and I downloaded it just as I came on. It was a really fast download.
Super fast download. Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool. Can Carla also share her screen for the demo? Carla is a co-host. She is going to be in total control. How's that sound? Anybody else have any questions or anything before we get started with our show and tell, and then we'll move into like general questions and answers, and then we'll just start moving into sharing stuff that's going on and all the cool things.
So, a question, what about I've already signed up on my desktop? Is it okay for me, can still participate, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think you can.
Okay.
I think so. Okay. Cool beans. All right.
Ready?
Yeah.
All
Go
right.
for it, Carla. And
So-
you can tell us a little bit about yourself too.
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Carla Hosman. I am an associate professor in the education department at FIU. I'm also a Broward County Public Schools high school assistant principal. So many of the technology tools that I use in my courses come from my teachers. I previously was an assistant principal at a middle school in Connecticut, as well as a geography teacher for 7th grade. So that's kind of a little bit of my history. So Nearpod, what I want to show you with Nearpod, it's pretty much like a presentation, like a PowerPoint on steroids. So it has many activities that you can use throughout the presentation that are very engaging. So the first part of what I wanted to show you with Nearpod is just some of the background as the teacher would use. Then the second portion of the presentation, I want to just use interactively with you as if you were a student, just show you some of the activities. So I'll start by sharing my screen, go through a couple things, and then we'll go to the more fun part. So let's see. Okay. So I was on something else here. And, okay, so if I log on to Nearpod and go on to just to my page, just a couple things. One thing is you can start, let me go back here. Okay, so I just started a blank presentation right here. There's nothing in it. So you can either create your lesson in Nearpod, which looks like this. So you would literally be adding slides. You can upload files. So you can upload an entire presentation if you use Google Docs or whatever format you use. So you can use a pre-made presentation, then just add the activities in. You can create the presentation directly in Nearpod, or you can create it within Google Slides through Nearpod. So some teachers like to create from scratch. Some teachers have things they want to upload and then just add the activities within. So it's pretty user-friendly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that, but that's just the way that you can create your presentations. Another thing you can do, and I'll show you the activities, but another thing you can do is you can, once you, here, let me move to this to the side. So you can either give the lesson live or you can do it student paced. So a live lesson would be what we're doing today as a group, either virtually or within the actual classroom. I've observed my teachers using this in the classroom. All the students are on their phones. The teacher has the presentation up on the screen and the kids follow right along on their phone. We're in virtual learning obviously right now, so you can do it a live lesson. If you had a Zoom call with your class at 2 p.m., you can all do it together, or you can set it up as student paced. So student paced, they just log on when they are available and they run through the presentation, and they would still be able to participate in the activities, and then you could also gather that data through reports. What I mean by that is if you're giving, and I'll show you this, but if you're doing your presentation and you have a quiz or you have a short answer question or something throughout, it will collect that data in the reports. So here's the reports. And I just did a presentation of, and I was just practicing. So there's not a lot of data in here, but it just gives you an example of what the data looks like. And why is it not coming up? That's weird. Okay, here it is. So this was the data. So say if you gave a quiz throughout, it would give the answers that the students gave, here's the questions, and then here's the answers the student gave, how many they got right. So it's an amazing monitoring tool. An open-ended question, okay, these were the responses. So there isn't a lot of data in here, but you can see that whenever you're giving some sort of activity, time to climb is questions. So you can see how many kids got the answers right, how many of the kids got the answers wrong. So these are each question. So it really drills down in the data, and that's very useful for monitoring. So you can do it student paced, you can do it live, you can collect all the data through the reports, and then you can also, there is a short video, and I don't know if we're gonna have time, but you can also, once the students are in the presentation, they can take notes on each slide in Google Docs. They can share them, they can save them, you can view them, that depends on, how much you really want to see the students' notes or not see the students' notes, depending on what you're presenting and what your teaching style is. But there's that option as well. So you can access those later, you can send them out. And I just want to look quickly at my notes to see if I did share the basics with you. Yep. So it's pretty easy to set up, and it looks just like a regular presentation. Is there any questions so far at this point? If I went too fast or not fast enough, or I just have to get back to this. I'm going to share my screen for a second. I have to figure out how to do that with this.
And I don't think there are so many of us that we can't simply unmute.
Yeah, I'm sorry, because I'm trying to unshare, but it's not.
Sure.
It's small, so yes.
I have a question about the benefits of building within Nearpod versus using Google Slides.
It's kind of a preference thing. Many of my teachers, it's like if you've been using a PowerPoint that you've had for a couple years and it's really effective, you just drop it in. It's personal preference. I love Google. I love Google Docs, everything about Google, so that's just my preference. But I don't think there's really like it's just what your comfortability level is and what you prefer. But there isn't a hard like one's really better than another. I like the fact of just uploading what I already have. The negative about uploading what you already have is once you upload those slides, you can't edit the slide once it's in there. So that's kind of why I like the Google, you know, so if you have a perfect PowerPoint already created and then you just want to add the activities, I would upload it. Okay. But if you're going to try to edit it in here, once you've already created it, then I wouldn't do that, you know,
So the way videos play in Google Slides transition smoothly in Nearpod?
Yes. Yeah, they do. Yes. And yeah, I mean, everything, and you'll see there's yeah, I mean, I haven't had trouble with it, but they are also very good with support and with resources too. So that's another, they've emailed right back. And they have a lot of canned things for K-12, but they're very good about responding and helping out with that as well. So I haven't run into issues, but that doesn't mean there won't be, but they are good about responding. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Any other questions about what I've presented so far? Okay. I mean, I would, if you're game, if we get into it, I'll give you a code and I can just show you the activities. I'll show you, you know, half a dozen activities. There's, the questions aren't necessary, you know, they're on various topics, but it's just kind of to showcase what students would be seeing. But now
we're game.
Yes. So yeah, I didn't want to spend too much time on the background part because that's pretty self-explanatory, but I do want to make sure that, okay, stop share, here it is. I'm going to unshare this screen just for a moment to get back to the other presentation here. Okay.
I'll throw a question out there. I'm sorry. Does it does that system accept sort of the cartridge zip file for quizzes and things like that? So if you want to port things over from something you're maybe already doing to—
Good question. That I don't know. That, I mean, okay. I've typed in the quiz questions, so I guess.
No, I dig it. I mean, you could always copy pasta that stuff. I mean, it's fine, but I was just wondering, because I'm looking for ease of use, because as someone who's some of us who have to teach across different campuses, different LMS systems, it's ease of use to be able to use the same sort of thing you're doing in one to another to be able to port it over. So that's why I was curious.
Yeah, I haven't tried that, to be honest with you.
No, that's cool. I'm just asking.
But I can research that for sure.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have a question. Does Canvas support Nearpod? Can I build assignments, Nearpod assignments in Canvas?
Yes, my teachers use Canvas in collaboration with Nearpod. Absolutely.
Awesome.
So when I said my teachers use Nearpod to teach all their courses, they use Canvas as the system, but then they embed Nearpod within.
Oh.
So that's how they would do their presentations, but then they would be in Canvas, and that's how I would use it as well.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Now I'm putting the code in the chat. So if we want to kind of play, it's IAWKO. Now I'm not sure if I need to share my screen. I don't really need to share my screen. You just need to like look on your phone and you can play and I'll kind of talk through it a little bit. And if you want to just, do you want me to screen share as well, just for those people that don't have it? Would that be helpful?
No.
It might be.
Okay, I'll do that. I'm not sure if it's needed or not.
Don't have it. Oh, the answer is yes.
Okay, I will do that.
Yes in them. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Okay. Give me one moment here.
I'm in.
Okay. So can everyone see this first slide here? We're good?
Good.
Okay. So I'm just going to show you a couple. I'm not going to go through this whole presentation, but I'm just going to show you a few things. Like one of the, okay. No. I'm not going to show this video. I'll skip that for now. Okay. So Okay, so this would be one of the, so say you were giving your presentation up to this point and then you wanted to assess the students. Time to climb is one thing you could do. So time to climb, it looks kiddie, but the high school kids actually like it. The college kids like it. It's fun. So you would ask questions and then they have like a little avatar that kind of runs along. So you can actually play. See the your little, I mean, so it is cute, but it's also, you can actually gain, good monitoring and see, check for their understanding here. So I'll let you guys get on. It's so cute. And then I'll just start it. I mean, okay, there's somebody else. So I'll just start it so you can see. And the questions are very simple on this. And you could just answer. There's 6 questions. And you could see like your little guys are going up the mountain, if you got it right or wrong. And I know it's there's a couple more questions, but then you can see at the end how it's kind of like a Kahoot if you use Kahoot before.
I like the fact that it shows like the group moving up.
Right. And I mean, if they're sitting in a classroom or you're on it virtually, it's to make it competitive, a little engagement.
Yeah.
I mean, these questions are basic, but you kind of, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, can you determine the amount of wait time? Because
yes, this is a little bit longer than I would want for this presentation, but yes.
Or even making it longer. And
yeah, absolutely.
Having students in groups have to determine the answer to a difficult question, right? Like you could even, I'm thinking you could even, you could do this while students were in breakout rooms. It would be almost like a mashup of team-based learning. And so, because the thing that you can't do in the breakout rooms is make a presentation to everybody, but you could with this. So you could have your group doing this at the same time and deciding for themselves what they would want, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So that should be the end of the questions at least, and then you have your, your leaders. Good job, Sherry.
Yeah, I was.
But I mean, the kids really like this one. It's a lot of fun. But that's just one, like you said, you can do it a more in-depth type of question. You could do this little quick questions like I shared with you here. It's open. I'm going to click off so the music go away. But that's one way. The field trip is another thing. This is pretty, they have all different kind of locations that you can go to. So for example, here is, now if you touch your screen, you can move it around and you are on a Polynesian beach. This isn't that exciting. I mean, it's gorgeous, but then you can go, you can go to Paris if you're speaking about France or whatever it is. But the point is you go here, you can play with that screen, and then there's follow-up questions. This is, so for example, draw an image that makes you feel, the emotions you felt when you were on the Polynesian island. So you respond, you put a sentence in there, and then you can see everyone's pictures, so of course, like Lisa, that's exactly how we feel. So you can use this tool. They can respond. Yeah, Tracy. Yeah, and Trudy and Daniela. So, and you can see, if you're looking at my screen too, the teacher can see, you know, everyone, you can monitor what they're drawing. You know, yeah. Yes, Stephanie, I want to be there too. You guys are good at this. So basically, you know, we get the idea that you can respond in that manner. So that's, you know, multiple learning styles.
Yeah.
So this is, there's this little section's about emotions. So, you know, just, we're going to go into the next thing here.
So with that, you could have taken, like, people could have taken a picture because it was the drawing, but I saw that there were other options.
Yes, yes. And there, I mean, and then there's another feature as well that you can do short answers. So I know some people wrote on the picture too, which is fine. But yeah, it's just to showcase that you can do the picture versus just the writing.
Cool.
Yes. This, I won't read too much about the emotions piece, but the point is, you know, chemicals affect our emotions through the endocrine system. So if you're science teacher, now you can, if you touch your screen here, you can you can view the endocrine system. So from all, you know, move the skeleton around. It's just an amazing visual. So is everybody able to do that on their phone?
Oh,
That's
wow.
cool. That's pretty awesome. And you can view, you know, any portion you want. You can zoom in, you know, just look at, I don't even know what all those parts are, to be honest with you, but, you know, look at all those pieces.
Wow. Is there a library of?
Yes, yes. So these are just examples, but yes, and I'll show you how to put I can show you where, how to put these in. I just wanted to show you what I meant by the activities, because there's such a variety of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go to the next thing. So then here you can actually embed a presentation within a presentation. So now if you look to the side of the screen, there's more information about emotions. Okay, so whatever class we might be in, this is what we're talking about, and the students, you know, can view this presentation. Then.
So one of the questions that I see here, Joan was saying that, you know, with that climbing to the top exercise, the design was somewhat juvenile.
Yes.
But that's just that one question type. For the other types of questions, we can.
That's time to climb is pretty elementary. It just is.
Yeah, that's just that one. Yeah,
that's that one. So that's, you know, that's the setback is, you know, if we're teaching 20-something-year-olds, obviously, but the positive is it's cute, it's fun, but you know, it's more about the feedback. So I mean, high school kids loved it, and I know they're not that far off from
one. If we don't feel like we want to use that,
yeah, these are all this is all optional. But yeah, I mean, that was the thing when I knew I was going to present to college level on this, I knew that was going to be a little bit kiddie, but I did want to show you that it is an option. You know, to get the, you know, to monitor their understanding. But yes, there really isn't another option where you can do something more serious as far as your characters. They're just cute.
Carla.
Yes.
I mean, in your defense, we use this at conferences where it's all PhDs and faculty, and that kiddie feature goes out of the window when there's questions relative to the concepts that you're teaching, and students are like competing to demonstrate their mastery. So the cutesy nature of it, I mean, there's a whole theory in this with, right, in Carter, they talk about like the kawaii culture, where that cutesy, it doesn't take away from learning gains, right? If anything, it adds to not being so like held back to compete and demonstrate mastery. So I think it's actually, it's our own bias that we have to get over. Our students will definitely be able to still benefit from it. So it's a great feature, no matter what.
I agree. And it breeds the engagement. You know, I mean, I want to be the little, I don't know, cat, and I want to run around and whatever it is. I completely agree. I mean, I was in a classroom and the teacher did the whole presentation, then started this, and then she's like, okay, we got to go on to something else. I'm like, that's the best part. Everybody wanted to play the game, you know? Yeah. So, so for our purposes, it's monitoring, but for their purposes, it's like, cool, we get to play a fun game.
I think we need to be able to rethink ideas of like the veneer of professionalism or veneer of maturity versus actually just utilizing different aesthetics different kinds of presentation material, and the fact that something is perceived as juvenile with this adult kid mentality thing that is not based on anything evidence, there's no evidence to back it up. We don't want to perpetuate norms or what have you without reasons or without evidence. And if these things function, if they work, then who gives a damn if it's a cute, cute whatever on there. If it works, it works. I think that's up to each professor to decide to utilize in their class, any teacher, instructor. But in the end, we have to be pragmatic about this, especially nowadays.
I think it's also, it's context driven. I think it was a really good question about does the aesthetic have an impact? Does it, it's a really good question. And I think it does have to do with the context, that we're using it in. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So I'll go back to this. So then here's like more information on emotions, just to show you that you can embed a shorter presentation within a presentation for the purposes of, and I'll show you.
Okay. Oh.
Okay, here's the result. Wait a minute. Oh, I gotta go back. My bad. I did something wrong here. Let me just see. Wait a minute. I'm just struggling because I'm gonna move you guys over. So then I'm trying to see why it won't. I don't know why it's showing the answer. Okay, so this was a fill in the blank. I don't know why it just went to the answers, but these words were on the bottom here, and based upon what the students read in that small presentation on the side, they had to put emotions, controlled, so on and so forth in this fill in the blank. So it was just a fill in a blank. Did that come up on your guys' phones at all? Okay.
Yes, it did.
Okay, so then what I'm showing you is just the results of, Stephanie got 3 out of 5, whoever participated. But the point is you can do like a fill in the blank, and you can put a presentation within a presentation. So that's another activity you can do. I don't know why it didn't come out as smooth, but this is where they were to learn about it, and then they were to give that answer.
Oh, there we go.
What is this?
I have another chance to do it better.
Oh, you got some wrong.
Yeah, I got 3 out of 5. I want 5 out of 5.
And then I'll show you, this is matching, I believe. And if I'm wrong, because I'm looking at a different view, but you can match the emotions. It's like a picture with a definition. Is that what you are viewing on your phone?
Yep.
Okay, so that's another tool. And this one, it's timed as a minute. You can adjust how much time, but if you've done some vocabulary and you want them to do some matching, something like that.
And so if I were going to do a matching, then I would be the one. I mean, as a professor, as a teacher, I would be deciding what the image, what the two matching tiles, what the content in the two matching tiles would be. So it could be like a term and a definition, or it could be is for language, it could be a word and the definition, or it can be the image, like a part of the body. This is it. And then also you said that your students can create Nearpods for each other if they're going to do a class presentation?
They can, yeah. I mean, you can, if you want to share, yeah. I mean, they can create it, absolutely. I mean,
So, like I could see, because Tracy is here from the medical school, and like I could see, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know anything about medical school, but except that you have to memorize a lot of stuff, I'm sure. Right. And so having students in groups make Nearpods for each other to practice for tests, or, to run each other through memorization, maybe would be, useful.
Yeah, instead of using flashcards, like we used to use flashcards, you know, it's just a different format.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and making student presentations more engaging. That's
Exactly.
I always encourage faculty to encourage their students to use the same kind of strategies that they use to engage, to have their students use those things. It's good for professional learning, but it's also making the whole experience so much, there's a lot more buy-in and a lot more creativity in it.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's definitely a great way to use this as well. Absolutely. And they're going to find out better things than I know how to use it always. You know, they're going to use it better. Okay. So this is, what are you seeing on your screen right now? Sorry, because I'm on here.
We're seeing the question.
Okay, so it's just a question. And is this the open-ended question? Is that what it
Yes,
allows you
it
to
is.
type? Okay, I just want to make sure.
Great.
So this, you know, obviously we all know we all use open-ended questions. And this is, and then from my view, I can see the answers. You can, as I showed you earlier, that report, you can see all of the answers. You can save it. You can look later, you know, so if this was how you were determining if they understood a certain concept or topic.
You know, it's interesting that this is the topic that is for this demonstration, because I was at the Congress for Instructional Technology at Tec de Monterrey in Mexico in December. I talk a lot about this experience. People might have heard me talk a lot about it before because it was so transformational. But there were 3,600 people there, and there was one of the keynote speakers was a dude, I cannot remember his name, but he talks a lot about emotions and learning. In this particular topic, our ability to describe our own emotions, being in touch with how we're feeling, he has a very strong correlation between our ability to describe and to perceive and describe our emotions and our ability and our learning capacities, because learning is it's an emotionally it churns up a lot of emotions. We get frustrated, we get disappointed, we get depressed, we're elated with the aha experience. So the more we can be metacognitive about our own emotions, the better we are at learning. So I think that what we were talking about earlier about bringing in some joy and some play and some kind of childlike attributes to our more advanced courses might help our students access a part of their brain and a part of their willingness to engage that we normally couldn't access otherwise, especially in a traumatic context. There's a lot of stuff out there around trauma-informed teaching. And I think what you're offering us is a great tool to be able to help students who have so much on their plate and are worried and anxious about so many things, kind of step out of that for a minute in the learning space and have a little bit of fun.
Absolutely, I agree. So, I mean, here's some of the answers just so you can see, you know, what the teacher can see what the students wrote. You can save this, it goes in your report, you know, just so you get an idea of the short answer.
The answer's 20.
Yay. And then this one would be a quiz. So there's 3 questions here. So you can answer multiple choice quizzes as well.
Awesome.
Because I'll just let you guys take a minute with that.
Gotta be that.
And then if you view my screen while you're, you know, when you're done, you can see the results, what the teacher would see.
I like also that it gives you a chance to edit your answers really quickly. So like, oh, I just, you know how many times.
Oh yeah. And then, I mean, I did this the first time, just, you know, practicing, and I got them wrong, you know, and then I was able to go back in again. So depending on what you're teaching, you know, you give them 10 chances, 1 chance, you know, whatever whatever you feel. But yeah, it is nice to be able to go and edit, depending how formal of an assessment this is.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna go to the next screen. I mean, you can see, you know, you guys understand this piece. This one is just interesting if you just play with your screen. Just touch the skateboarder and put him on the ramp, and you can touch. It's just, I don't even know how I would use this. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And you can, if you click pie graph, bar graph on the right there, if you click any of those things, it just adds to your screen. If you click all the boxes. So I guess this is physics, I'm assuming. I'm not a science person, but.
It is, this is a tool that you can embed directly into Canvas. This is a huge, they actually use this in some of our physics courses here. So
really,
for dry labs, yeah. You know, there's so much of a need for digital labs, for chemistry, for physics,
definitely,
biology.
And then I figured the last thing I'll show you, the math one is kind of weird. I don't know if I like that one, but this is just, the last thing was just a board where it's kind of like when you have a sticky note as they walk out the door, closure type activity, you can use the board the same way, or parking lot, that kind of thing. And you can, from my screen, it says, I approve the comments, because, you know, obviously if you're teaching younger kids, they put a swear word or something inappropriate. You want to make sure that you okay the comments. Obviously in college, that's not necessarily as important necessarily.
It's definitely important in college.
You know, depending on what level you're teaching or who, your classroom. I haven't run in that experience, but I'm sure you guys may have. So then again, you know, here it's just putting that Post-it note up and, you know, responding. And then I don't know why we can't see them.
Because you have to approve it?
Oh, I just said that. Hello. No, I'm just, okay, here we are.
That's why we're collaborating.
Yeah. I'm going to approve all of them because you guys are so appropriate.
We should have tested your metal.
And then this is cool because you can then share it. You know, you can put it on, you know, you can share it with the class, put it on social media, whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah, you could have you could do almost like, you could do like a KWL, like what did you know before this lesson? What more do you want to know? What did you learn today? What research question do you have? You know, what are you looking forward to in the next week? You know, when do you plan to study for this test? You know, things like that, you know, that can help draw students towards that next step in your own developmental planning. Exactly. What more do you need from your partners? This is, yeah. Oh, look, somebody
so you can use the pictures. Yeah.
An image.
So that's really awesome. Yeah. So that's the fun presentation piece I had to show you. And then let me just get out of here. Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah. And just, you know, whenever you're making the presentation, it just pops up and then you just choose, you know, which activity you want to add, you know, so, and you pick, you know, if it's time to climb, if it's the skateboarder, if it's the, you know, a quiz, you know, you just add it in and then you edit it yourself.
So there's a question from Tracy about, for quizzes, is there a way to report out group responses only, not individual responses, and who answered what correctly and incorrectly?
I guess what it would be, if you, with the code, you would have the one person using that code for the group. You know, so if we have 4 people, right. You know, if me, Michael, Tracy, and Sherry are in a group, I'm using my phone, no one else is, but we're collaborating.
What I was getting at, I'm getting, if you go back to that quiz, there was the pie of who answered how, right? Okay. There was also the, she answered everything correctly, she answered this question right, he answered that question wrong, et cetera. And I've been just working through a bunch of like inclusive teaching, you know, structural, things.
Mhm.
Is it's good to be anonymous, right? At times, good to be not call people out when they're answering incorrectly. So is the way to hide the individual responses and show the aggregate?
Well, I mean, you would just be viewing that, not the kids.
We saw it on your screen
because I'm the teacher.
And
Right.
she wanted to share it. She didn't.
And I was sharing that just for the learning purposes, but you wouldn't have to show that to your kids.
Okay, and so so we wouldn't have. So then, if I wanted to have something on the screen.
So what the reason I had you download it download what was on your phone or wherever you had it was what the student would be viewing. You're looking at the quiz question, you're responding.
Right. So if I am standing in front of the classroom and I am, for example, we could be doing one class live and streaming to a second room. And so I might be standing at the front of the room talking to the screen like I would normally do for a PowerPoint, for example. And then streaming that to another room.
Right.
How do I get that stuff up on the slides that is for what the students see and not what
You can freeze or pause your screen. So for example, I was in a classroom when it was just the teacher I was observing, and then the kids had their phones. So when she had the presentation up, they had the presentation on their phone. When they started responding to questions, she froze it, for lack of a better term, and they could see the questions, but they could not view the responses as I showed you within the charts and all of that. So you can do that, and only you have access to what the teacher is saying, and then the kids just have access to their own responses. You can do that. Now I understand. That makes sense.
The technicalities of trying to make a good experience for the students, and what do you see as a faculty and what do they see as students, and how you share and how you experience both so you know both sides. It's complicated. I mean, I've been trying to do this kind of faculty development stuff. It's hard. It's really hard.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Yes.
It is. And Carla, as well as I, and I know Sherry Beeson and maybe others in this room, come from the K-12 world, the primary, secondary world, and this kind of minutia of detail, where students sit in the room, where they put their papers, where do they go to pick them up, what order do they do, which is we're very comfortable in this space. We're very comfortable planning out those tiny little details. It makes us good viewers of faculty syllabi for these reasons, because we will often see in our colleagues' syllabi, the kinds of questions that students are going to have, right? Where am I going to go to find this resource? And you haven't told me how you're going to grade me, and I don't know. And so many of these great tools that we can use in higher ed come from K-12, but they do demand exactly what you're talking about, Tracy, which is a really different way of thinking about teaching. It's much more minutia oriented. And because we're in this technological space, if we're going to do anything engaging beyond lecturing to our students, it does demand that. So that's a really important comment.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other thoughts and questions for Carla about how she uses this tool before we open it up to kind of general discussion?
Carla, can you just tell us, so I've known about this tool for a while, and I engaged with it first at a conference where it made sense, right? We couldn't skip through the presenter's presentation. We had it when we went home. It was right there with us. She could engage with us. It was a huge room. So if you couldn't see, you could see it on your phone. But I've been having a really tough time, and Tracy, I actually appreciate your question, because I have had a really tough time in figuring out. So when I'm online, I can see how I can use this in a hybrid course. But when I'm online, how do I get students to look at me in the screen? I guess I just want to know, can you give me like a good example of how you've seen it used in an online course? Maybe 2 examples so that I can better see where this fits. I really see how it fits in a hybrid course. It kind of, I'm almost worried there's too many screens, right, in an online course. Like, why aren't I just doing this through Zoom, right?
I mean, it's interesting you said that because there's a new feature that I just noticed recently that you do it through Zoom.
Through Zoom,
It was like there were 3 options, and it's funny because I haven't even used that. I mean, I knew about this presentation for a while, prepared, and then this week. So, I mean, if it's just a fully online class and you're doing it live, they would only be seeing what you were seeing on your phone. You wouldn't have anything else happen. They wouldn't have anything else happen.
I do want to mention, I don't know if we said that as a strength of this, that for the first time, you can share your presentation with others and you control what's seen there, which I think is a phenomenal strength of Nearpod, right? So yeah, I'm sorry, I cut you.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know for this, it was, we're presenting and we're using it at the same time. So that might seem cumbersome. And I was kind of concerned about that too. I'm like, well, how are we going to make this work? But I feel like it went okay. But if you're only teaching, if all the kids are in a live lesson, I would assume, for me, I would just say, go to the Nearpod and don't even look at anything else for that period of time. That's how I would use it. And then you as a teacher would just be monitoring it. That's the way that I would use it. Not have them be on Canvas and on this. I mean, they might have Canvas on their computer, but I wouldn't have them be interacting with Canvas and this at the same time. I would just strictly have them be on this presentation, just like if they were live in the classroom. That's the way that I would use it. That seems the most simple to me. But I don't know if that answers your question though.
No, I mean,
I would just try to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Really, as if I was giving a PowerPoint, I would do just a Nearpod, just in place of that. That's the way I use it. So that there's not too many things going on. But for our purposes, yeah, I could see how it was like a couple things at once for sure.
I think especially in that breakout room context, it could be a great tool because we can go from breakout room to breakout room, but if you want to do something where you have students really kind of debating amongst each other about a topic and you want to engage them all at once, you could reach the students in the breakout room. They're talking amongst each other. Well, what do you think we should do for this particular question? How should we compose this together? And the professor's still pushing content out to them. And there could be more discussion, hopefully, amongst 3 or 4 students in a breakout room than if there were 20 or 60 or 80 or 100 in the general class. And I'm thinking about this a lot right now. It's on my mind because several faculty have been contacting me and saying they're just having so much difficulty, even in small classes of 20 students that are majors, getting them to engage this summer. And what are other ways that they could, how to do it? And thinking about placing students in smaller groups was just one of the things that we've been thinking about, and how
I think Michael's your name. I'm just make sure I'm pronouncing that right. Michael, sorry. I think he's talking about more like the like fully online, I think, environment is what he's talking about versus like, look at how would you do breakup rooms if you're
like if I'm
not talking about remote teaching, online where it's asynchronous teaching. That's I think is what he means versus synchronous remote where you do the breakup room, because otherwise if it's asynchronous, you can't do breakup rooms because you're not.
No, you can't.
Right. So. And
you could do the student, you could use it in the student. There were 3 ways you could do it, which would be an asynchronous way, right? Where the professor is pushing out the slides and making the presentation. Then there's and then there's also the student paced, which would be totally asynchronous. Am I correct on that one, Carla, or no?
I think so.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yes, I think.
You just can't live broadcast it, which is I think the most fun way of doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, like so if you did it with Zoom, it would be, here are the slides, and instead of watching the slides on the screen and seeing a bunch of other people's faces and you're gonna listen to me, you're gonna be looking at your phone and engaging with your phone with the slides, really just you focusing on the slides and the question, but you'll be listening to me.
Like
right?
a voiceover.
Even everybody can have their videos off. And then maybe put your phone down and come back, and we're going to have a group discussion about this.
Right.
Right. I'm trying to think about.
Yeah. No, I'm processing as you speak too, because it's a good question. I don't mean to be not responding, but yeah, I'm thinking it's very easy in it's very easy in a regular classroom, but then thinking of the multiple formats is challenging. Agreed. But yeah, I think the voiceover is a good way. I want to click that button now.
That's how I would use it. Like immediately I was thinking that is how I would use it, is I would, now of course there are accessibility issues, because if students don't have a phone and there needs to be other opportunities for them to be able to engage. But I think that that's like the beauty of using it is getting them to engage with that content and really focus on it in a different format with a different tool. You've given us a lot to bubble on, Carla Hosman.
Well, you guys have given me a lot. You've given me a lot to think about too. So I appreciate it, because it's definitely like I just clicked on that Zoom button, so it says so you start a Zoom and your presentation simultaneously. Like that's how it works. So yeah, I mean,
so
I appreciate it, because we're all learning. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
And it even helps us by sharing this with us, and we know some people have to ring off, and we can stay on for a few more minutes. It even helps us to think about just looking at the tool, even if we don't use the tool, what can we do with our live lectures, right? To engage students more. We might use another tool. We might use the chat. We may use the polling. We may have them do get onto a Google Doc together and do something where they could draw or write lists. And there are so many different ways that we can think about engaging during our lecture. I want to thank you for sharing with us this.
Thank you. I thank you for the opportunity, and I'm
really
so happy to meet everyone. Thank you so much for listening and engaging.
This is cool.
Yeah, I love it. It's fun.
Tracy has a question that maybe you could answer in the chat. I want to just ask before we ring off for some feedback about a new type of Hangout. We've received an invitation, and we're definitely going to do it in November, but we might do it in other months. We have colleagues around the world who are doing work with global learning. There is a university in The Hague, in the Netherlands, the Hague University of Applied Sciences, and they have a global learning. It's not the same type of global learning initiative that we have, but they have, it's called Internationalization at Home in Europe. And there is a professor of global learning at the Hague University. And last month, I participated in a discussion with him for Hague faculty about the way we think about global learning. And they said, well, how about our faculty talk with your faculty about what is global learning and how to do it? So an international conversation of faculty around the topic of global learning. I'm just curious, if you received an invitation to something like that, you might be interested in connecting with colleagues in another country, in other disciplines around a common topic, which is global learning, which could lead to all sorts of things, like any kind of collaborations. Any thoughts about that you would want to share in the chat or out loud? Just kind of gauging interest.
I would be open to it.
It sounds interesting.
Absolutely.
Michael's into it. Cool. We're thinking of doing a series of them with different parts of the world, right? So really having an opportunity to think about not only our teaching and learning in the context of COVID and online, but in terms of our work more broadly and our work as it's placed in the world, and getting a sense of how other people in other parts of the world do things, and the opportunity to just meet new people. Yeah, because we don't really have that much time or many opportunities to have collision events. We're not going to conferences as much, and having an opportunity to meet new people and maybe new research and writing connections or personal connections that could lead to who knows what. Some more collision events. And, you know, they like us and they want to meet us. So I thought, well, we should give it a try.
I think it's a good idea.
All right, cool. Well, you're definitely going to get an invitation to one on November 12th. And there are two other universities who are interested in having a conversation with us around this, one in Mexico and the other one in England. So you may get some other ones too.
Awesome.
All right, my friends. Anything else that folks would like to chat about while we're here together?
I want to do a really quick shameless plug. I'm sorry. This is just for Carla. We are hosting, FIU is hosting 4 webinars for K-12 faculty to share different resources in online teaching and things like that. I'm actually hosting one of the webinars called Free 99, where I'm talking about and showcasing 9 low-cost or free tools that you can use for learning. And one of them was Nearpod, and I wasn't sure if I was still going to use it. So thank you so much for this. I'm trying to put the website here, so maybe you can share it with some of your K-12.
Well, and if we can email as well, I can share with them.
Yeah, no, feel free to
it is.
link. It's free. We're sending it out kind of the whole community. Want to help K-12 faculty with all these wonderful, because they don't have Stephanie's and Sherry's and FIU onlines, right? So we want to share what we have kind of with the community, with the world for K-12 faculty. It's called Click 12. So
I will definitely share with them
when I talk about Nearpod.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, I'm sorry, I have to jump into that meeting that Lisa was in.
Of course. No, get on out of here. We'll close it out for today.
Yeah, I have to go to class myself. So.
Okay.
Nice meeting everybody. I hope everyone has a good day.
Ciao for now.
Be safe, be healthy.
Mwah, mwah.
This is great.
Thank you, Carla.
Steph, I just was going to ask you one question.